It's nearly an entirely new team for the 2012 version of the Delta State men's basketball team, including in that mix are transfers Terry Leake Jr., Cornel Knight, along with new assistant coach Marcus Thomas. The trio was also a part of the Marion Military Institute Tigers basketball team before coming to DSU, and all have an interesting story.
Yes, sir. I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, South Memphis. It was an experience. You know, it was a lot of things unusual that you wouldn't see in a normal neighborhood. So I'm just blessed that God lured me to the right path.
For Cornel, who grew up in Mobile, Alabama, life as a student athlete started early with help from his stepfather.
At first I started out playing football. So my stepdad, he started helping me with basketball. And I had started liking it more and more around like 10 years old. And that's when I started feeling like I love basketball.
Thomas's journey on the hardwood also began as a youngster, and it was able to teach him several important lessons he took as he grew up.
I remember playing DYA basketball, youth basketball, because my mother had access to the military, the base. And there was always strict timing, and you need to be at a certain place and couldn't be late. It was always yes sir, no sir.
As Cornel improved his game at Davidson High School in his hometown, he began searching for the next step in his life. That step came in the form of Coach Thomas at Marion, but it didn't come without a few minor headaches.
The thoughts was the clothes.
Right.
Cause they had to wear uniform, and I was like, man, I just came from school that wear uniform, out of high school, and their clothes was kind of tight, so I don't even know about that. In the military part, and wasn't nobody really in my family in the military, so I ain't know nothing about the military part. So it was a great experience for me.
Terry's experience at Marion came in part due to the orders he had to follow, along with learning the military lifestyle.
The rank that they had to talk to people in that kind of way, I wasn't really comfortable with that. You know, people my age telling me what to do, what not to do. But I thought about it, and that's life. People gonna always tell you what to do and what not to do. They're gonna always have a higher position than you.
It was a learning experience for Cornel, filled with plenty of hard times, which forced him to fight through adversity to become a better cadet and a basketball player.
Yes, sir. It was my first year up, so I had to get used to it. And like, they had something called 2 weeks of
rock cycle.
Rock cycle. They take you through everything. It's 110 degrees outside. You gotta run. You gotta make stuff like with your hands with ropes. It was a nice experience though, because we had paintball, like you do shoot paintball guns like a real war, and that was fun.
Coach Thomas's growth on the basketball court came partly from his brother, who he admits gave him some of the toughest games on the hardwood.
Basketball-wise, my older brother, though he never spent any time in the military, he was a very structured guy, and I always wanted to be like that.
The time spent in a strict order-giving environment that Marion provided bettered Terry for the things to come on his path at Delta State.
Yeah, I do look back and realize the things that Marion taught me. Marion taught me a lot of things about time management, and it also, the biggest thing it taught me was doing things that you don't want to do. At Marion, you do things every day that you don't want to do, especially being a ball player and not even going into the Army. So it helped a lot on that. And it helped a lot on your time management, because we was always on a time schedule.
When we come back after the break, we'll find out about a special bond between players and coaches, and also about a special bond between a coach and his love for the military. Thomas's journey into coaching was highlighted when his former boss, Andy Stoglin, gave him one simple assignment. It was one that Thomas would never forget.
Funny story, when I interviewed with him, he said, we have our second assistant spot open. There's an individual that I want to hire for that spot. I want you to find him. That's what he did. And I said, wow, Coach, that's hard. You know, I didn't say that, but I was thinking that you want me to find the guy that you want to hire
For the job you want.
for the job that I want. But I took it right along with the military standard, you know, do what's asked of you. So I found that individual, and he said, Coach Stoglin asked you to find me? I said, he did. He said, and you want that job? I said, I do. He laughed and he said, okay, give me Coach Stoglin's number. So I get off the phone and I'm thinking, okay, it's a done deal. This guy's going to go and take the job. He calls Coach Stoglin and says, Coach, I appreciate the offer, but I'm set where I am. But there's no one that I will hire over the individual that you had called me. If he's willing to call the individual that you want to hire for the job, that's who you should take.
The responsibility of getting the job done and doing your best were just a few of the important lessons Coach Thomas learned during his days as an assistant.
He showed me how to support your head coach, and it was a great year. And Coach Stoglin, he ended up moving on after that. But when that was over, all the coaches were looking for other places to work at. And I'm telling you, I probably had 5 or 6 universities contact me. They were seeking me out, to work for them. And Coach Stoglin said, it worked. It worked. And I said, what's that, Coach? He said, I wanted you to understand how important it was, or how important it is for you to be a go-getter. Whatever your boss asks you for, don't worry about why. Just get it done.
Upon his arrival at MMI, where he coached Terry and Cornel, a special bond began to form.
Real close relationship. I mean, I knows how he think, he knows how I think. It's he's not the head coach now, but he still respects his role, and I still see him as a somewhat head coach because I've been with him for 2 years, but I still got to see him as an assistant coach because Coach Connor's the head coach. I got to listen to his first word. But Coach Thomas, he's always there for me, and our relationship is real tight.
As the trio became closer, the time to move on came. The transition to Delta State started with Cornel being named team captain for the Statesmen.
They talked to me as the captain that making the team closer to each other, it makes us a better team. And he talked to me about, he feels that the team this year is closer than any other team that we have, but we always together no matter what. We have fun together, everything we're going to do together.
The same hard work, dedication, and willingness to achieve the task at hand came to fruition for Thomas during his most memorable night serving in the armed forces.
One night I was in the barracks and I received a call at 22:30 or 10:30. Right. And my NCO said, grab your gear, we have to go out to the field. There's a serviceman that's down. And he didn't tell me exactly where at the time. He said, but we need to go and get him. Well, I was a young guy and I was gung-ho. I said, I'm there. So I grabbed my gear and we hop in our vehicle and we're heading out to this training site. And where we were based at or stationed at was Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. Right. And at the time there was no illumination whatsoever. So it's pitch black and we're in the desert. And we had to scale this mountain in our vehicle to get this individual because they were actually doing night training. And this individual, when he jumped out of the helicopter, he ended up breaking his leg. And so we're scaling the side of this small mountain, and I was driving the vehicle and he was walking out in front of me. And if there was any time where I didn't pay attention to his instructions, I didn't know this at the time, but we had taken an angle roughly about 45 degrees. And we just continued to climb, and if I didn't listen, if I had gone to the right or the left, maybe 10 degrees, that vehicle would have fallen off the side of that mountain. I mean, it was treacherous terrain. And when we picked this individual up and we started descending down the mountain, we got him back into garrison and they took care of him. I just thought it was just a routine trip until the next day, and he took us back out there. And there's no way before I went into the military that I would have been able to do that. But with his help, with the training, I went into a dangerous situation, not for myself, but to assist another serviceman. And it was a remarkable feeling. I mean, it was amazing.
As was his philosophy in the Army, Coach Thomas's aim in life and coaching is straight and to the point.
You either go as hard and as intense as you possibly can to be the best that you can, or you should probably step aside and let someone else do it.
Through the early stages of the season, the trust being gained by the Statesmen players is growing each and every day.
They trust the players. They trust whoever. If we had a freshman in that position, I believe he'll make that shot. But that's the thing about this thing. We're so close and connected that even whoever it was, if it was John or from John to Cornel or from Coop to Arthur, we know they're gonna knock down the shot and make a big play for us one day.
As the Statesmen continue their mission to become champions on and off the court, Coach Thomas has a message for the fans.
That's easy. Very high level of basketball being played, not just on the court, but mentally. These guys are intense. There's not going to be one day where they don't leave it all out there on the floor. And then these are the same individuals. You may see them in a grocery store, and they'll come up and speak and shake your hand. I mean, these are the type of individuals that you want in your community.
We'd like to thank Coach Thomas, Terry Leake, and Cornel Knight for their time, and when we come back, we'll see the trio in action as they took on Arkansas Monticello.